Okay, hello everybody. Today's date is May 28th, 2024. My name is Leslie Williams, and this video is being made. It's only going to be a two-part video series, and right now I'm not really sure if I'm going to be making the second video tonight or not. This video series will be titled Color Coding and Other Types of Props That Gang Stalking Perpetrators Prop Up Along My Routes in San Diego, California. Now, the initial thing that you should always keep in mind concerning this issue are two main things. One, this is what I'm going to be exposing in this two-part video series is not the only thing going on. And two, a hell of a lot more is connected to why the things that are being propped up, which means in part, there are more motives, there are multiple motives concerning why gang stalking perpetrators are propping up what they're propping up along my routes. A lot of it, okay, is not going to be immediately apparent to you because, unfortunately, with time constraints that I have right now, I'm not going to be able to get into the other details that would help you have a more thorough, comprehensive understanding. And you should also know, an addendum to that statement also would include that they take complete advantage of the public's ignorance about this crime as a whole, as concerning. When I say ignorance, the vast majority of American citizens don't even know the crime of gang stalking is occurring, and it's not stalking by the type of street gangs that you might initially think of. Gang stalking is a program perpetrated and hosted, widely reported to be perpetrated and hosted by the United States military, U.S. intelligence agencies working in covert collusion with state, county, local governments, state, county, and local police, businesses, corporations, and other tentacled partners. Now, what I'm going to be disclosing in this video might be expanded upon later on in the near future, and so if any other upcoming videos that I make, if I choose to detail and expand on when I choose to sorry, just bear with me. In any upcoming future videos that I make here in the near future, in those videos, I'll probably expand on why this is being done, or what I'll do is I'll at least state, can this material you're currently hearing be referred to be part of what you're going to hear in this two-part video series. Now, folks, I apologize for this kind of, some of the statements I've made so far might seem to be a little bit complex. It's you're going to have holes in your understanding, and that's totally normal. But make no mistake about it, please pay attention to what is stated in this video and the next video. When I make the lawyer video series videos that I'm going to be making here in the very near future, those videos will have addendum videos to them and information video, addendum videos to them, which will be information videos and evidence videos. Now, within at least the information videos, there's an extreme likelihood, well, I'm going to expand upon why color coding is being done in gang stalking, why silent harassment is being done in the program of gang stalking. Okay, now I'm gonna right now segue so you can, please be patient, wait for those videos. Trust me, your jaw is gonna drop when you hear the information disclosed. And as a result of you hearing in these two videos that I'm gonna be making today, you might feel inclined to walk away and say, okay, I'm listening to what she's saying. I'm maybe going to do some research into what she's saying. And then when you do that research, you're going to see other victims stating that, yes, they're being bombarded with color coding, sound harassment, people getting around them and wearing certain colors, carrying things that are got certain colors and color patterns on them, engaging in physical gestures, making different types of sounds, and you're going to perceive that as just being a clever form of harassment, because in gang stalking crimes, see, you got to remember, like, if you're watching a baseball game, say if you go to a baseball game at a baseball stadium, and two people go, and they go together, okay? One person knows how the game of baseball is played. The other one has a very limited knowledge about how baseball is played. So the one who has a amount of limited knowledge, and they're sitting up in the top tier, Okay, which is the highest platform that you can be sitting at inside of a stadium, instead of sitting behind, first base or second base or whatever. Instead of sitting in the second, row, the second tier of seats, we're talking about the seats that are highest up in the stadium. Now, the reason why this is important, in part, is because the person who knows about how baseball is played, when he sees the game being played out, what he's not going to be able to see in complete detail is what he knows about the game is gonna fill in what he's not able to see in detail from that distance. The person who's got very limited knowledge about how baseball is played is going to have massive holes in their understanding, because he's watching a game play out without knowing really too much about the game at all, and he doesn't have any detailed view of the different things that are being done in the game. So he's going to walk away with, what was that all about, and what was this all about? And I brought that to your attention because the more you research the program of gang stalking, the more you stay tuned to this account, you're going to become that person who knows every detail of how baseball is played, what the rules are, and so on. How it's played, how this person was able to achieve this by doing that, and why the umpire made that decision, and so on. And so I wanted to give that fast kind of metaphorical presentation to you, so you can sit back and say to yourself, okay, I hear what Leslie's saying in this video and the next video, but when you see what's going to be disclosed in the information videos that are going to be connected to the lawyer video series videos, you're going to be extremely pissed, okay? In fact, you're going to be extremely, extremely pissed if you're a decent person once you see all the videos, the lawyer video series videos, the information videos, and the evidence videos. I am a very high-profile whistleblower. Most people in the United States don't even know gang stalking exists, and because of how the average citizen has no real influential sphere of influence to impact our community so that we can effect change. This is self-apparent when we look at how our government is being run on a daily basis, how the country has went to total crap because of politicians and all the other things that have played a role in it. Us regular citizens, we don't have any voice pretty much over anything. We just don't. Okay? And even when maybe somebody might do something at a local level because you go down and complain at a city council meeting, the most important things that you can understand concerning that will help you realize how little influence you have, the average citizen, is when you become extremely educated about this crime. Because this crime is past the epidemic level, folks. It's past the epidemic level, okay? It's going on in every neighborhood, town, city, county, and state. It's going on in at least 92% of all environments that you see when you go out and about in your community. And it's cleverly perpetrated, and the resources, techniques, and influence that comes with the host of this crime allows it to be perpetrated. So here we go. I'm going to talk to you about color coding, and remember this. Keep this in mind always. What you hear me state in this video and in the second video, you're going to, again, because you're going to say to yourself, okay, well, in order for these people to prop up color coding around any victim, sound harassment around any victim, physical gestures that are intentionally meant for the victim to see when the victim goes out about a community, well, once you do research into those descriptions, and again, when you hear the additional things I'm going to state and you research those, you're going to come to the conclusion that it's occurring because there's so much information on the internet about it. But you're going to walk away, once you get that at least preliminary research done, you're going to walk away and say, okay, I can see she's telling the truth, but this is just a clever form of harassment, obviously achieved through stalking, which is illegal tracking of the victim. And so you're going to say this. You're going to say to yourself, this should absolutely not be going on. It's a shame it's going on. And you're going to walk away and go about your day. That's normal human behavior, to look at something, research something, deduce what you end up deducing about it, concluding what you end up concluding about it. and then saying it shouldn't be going on, and, it's a shame that it's going on, and then walk away and go about your day. That's normal behavior, because most adults know that we can't change what's happening to a stranger, okay? But you see, you being ignorant about this crime does not make you any more safer. In fact, it makes you more, it puts you in more danger in a lot of ways than what current targets are enduring. Now, you'll understand that statement when I make the other videos. You'll thoroughly understand it, okay? You'll see it. Now, when I leave, the crime of gang stalking made me homeless from at least 4 apartments in Michigan, 1 in Tennessee. And so I just gave up on renting apartments and going through all that amount of money of getting them, furnishing them, moving, the cost of moving, everything that's involved in getting an apartment, keeping it, living there, and everything that I went through in each apartment was nothing but nonstop, intentionally perpetrated hell. And then they made me homeless from each one, costing me thousands and thousands of dollars. Loss of my property each time, and the nonstop sadist, demonic, hellish hell that I was forced to endure in each one. Which, by the way, the police allowed all of it. Absolutely. You can go to Google and research at Google the community notification and gang stalking crimes into the police. The criminal. See, you can also go to Google and type in Neighborhood Watch. Neighborhood Watch is nothing but a front for organized crime, folks. Whether you understand that yet or not, doesn't matter. As you continue to stay with this account, you'll learn many things. Trust me, you'll learn many things. Okay. So you can extensively research the police's involvement in this crime, and that includes managing many of the things that gang stalking victims can endure in their neighborhoods, and concerning there's several different involvements with the police and gang stalking. So is the fire department involved in this crime as well, absolutely. And I can't get off into all this because then I'll get bogged down into sub details and all that. This 2-part video series has a specific goal to talk to you about what I'm enduring along my routes, only part of what I'm enduring along my routes. Okay? But you can still research everything you hear me state. Now, so as a result of this crime, intentionally making me homeless from all these different apartments, I just gave up on renting apartments because I already know if I got one, I'd go there, I'd be put through nonstop hell, including break-ins, and then I would be made homeless again. So I just gave up on renting apartments. And you should also know that gang stalking is going on in homeless shelters all over the country, charities, churches, even food banks. Okay? Alright, so this is what I endure in part when I go along my routes. When I go along my routes, and you should know I don't do any type of drugs in any way except for a little bit of cough syrup every now and then to clear up my lungs, and vitamins, okay? And I don't really consider them to be, so just, so I take allergy pills every now and then, a little bit of cough syrup every now and then. I don't drink alcohol in any way, in any form. I think there might be a teeny bit of alcohol in my cough syrup, but that's about it. Okay, so I don't do any type of illegal narcotics whatsoever. Okay? I do not hang around anybody at all because I know enough about this program through experience and educated knowledge that social infiltration is an absolute method of gang stalking. Again, research all my statements. Okay, and so I'm completely alone. But I want you to know, whenever I spend time by myself at a wooded area, I keep my wooded area clean. I just treat my tent situation as just being a room in an apartment where I just, do whatever I need to do. My subject matter is taken care of, like internet searches. I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I watch a movie at night before going to bed, and I just go to bed. Okay, that's all I do. And I also try to spend time on my phone doing research into this crime, continued research into different things about this crime, and collecting and navigating through evidence that I've acquired, which is massive and completely indisputable, by the way. Absolutely. So, I just want you to know, as a regular citizen, You should also extensively research slander in gang stalking, because it's one of the biggest. It's a main component concerning how the people who are managing the community-based harassment are able to get so much cooperation from businesses, pretty much everywhere the victim goes. It can be a library, a coffee shop, a restaurant, a movie theater, a department store, a drugstore, a laundromat. Bus services are absolutely intimately involved in this crime. Absolutely. So, slander and fake bogus criminal investigation files is one of the ways that's widely reported that they're able to manage the community-based harassment, which means in part that they're getting community members to harass a victim for them based on lies and slander. So I want you to know, my fellow American citizens, that I do not do drugs. Okay, I'm not involved in any type of illegal activity whatsoever. Okay, I don't drink alcohol. I'm not mentally ill, and I'm not a threat to myself or others. And you'll see how important those statements are when you research the descriptions that I state in this video and in the second video. You'll see how important they are. When you first hear things like this, not knowing anything about gang stalking, you might be thinking to yourself, what the hell is this all about? The key to unlocking truth is to research each description, and your brain will organize the data. Okay? Just keep doing the research. So when I leave the different areas that I stay at, completely minding my own business, when I'm by myself, I just mind my own business. Again, I don't do anything wrong whatsoever. I just completely mind my own business. Stay to myself. And the perpetrators will actually want you in this type of situation. And you'll understand that more when I make the evidence videos and the lawyer videos. You'll remember, you're gonna learn a hell of a lot when I make the lawyer. You are literally you're gonna learn a lot of massive amounts of information, and your jaw is gonna drop. Your jaw is absolutely going to drop. So, keep in mind, folks, please be patient and stay with this account. The key to unlocking truth is research with a mature, patient adult posture, with an investigative posture, and say to yourself, I want to stay with this account no matter how long, because gang stalking goes on forever. But it doesn't matter how long it's going on against me. You stay with the account, and over time, by listening to my videos and researching what I state, that's how you're going to see the entire program. Okay? So when I go along my routes and I leave where I stay at on the days that I leave and go out to get groceries and water and maybe to go pick up my mail, and sometimes I go to pick up Amazon orders that get delivered to a grocery store, I am bombarded with different types of stimuli that are connected to the sensitization method of gang stalking. Now remember, there's a whole lot more also going on that are equally important motives concerning why the stimuli are propped up. So I could leave, like, let's imagine that I'm at one wooded area, and I get up in the morning and I say, okay, I got to go out and I got to go pick up this, I got to go do grocery shopping. When I get up, and as soon as I start getting into I get up, I'm at the wooded area, and as soon as I leave that area and start going into an area where people have a normal appearing excuse to be, okay? Because I got to say things like that a little bit carefully when I'm talking about, the wooded areas that I use. So let's just visualize that I have left the areas that I'm utilizing, and I am now out and about my community. So the first place I'll go to will be a bus stop. And they will have people walk by me wearing black and white, red and black. And if you can bear with me just 1 second, I'm going to get something out here to show it to you. If you can just give me a second here. I want you to look at this color right here. This is another one of the main colors right here. Okay? All right? Now, where do you see the other videos connected to why they're doing this? Your jaw is going to drop, folks. I kid you not. Okay. So this color right here, it's an offshoot of the color. I don't even know what you call this color. I'm sure I could look at its name up on the internet, but this is a green type of color. Okay, this is one of my battery chargers for my phone. So this color right here, okay, black and red, red and white, black and red, black and white. This color with other colors, okay, and in fact, you can even see that color if you look at this right here, okay, including this color being with black or white, okay. what they'll do is they'll mix and mash. Okay, they'll mix and mash as the colors. Once they have achieved the motives of why they're propping up each specific color, and then each specific color when it's used in patterns like black and white dots, black and white stripes, black and white wavy lines. And we're talking about things that people are told to wear, from their shoes up to their hat, including things they're carrying. Now, I want you to imagine, if it's possible for you to do so with your limited amount of educated knowledge, me referring to people who don't know nothing about this crime, okay, I want you to imagine every single time you go out and about in the community, you're forced to observe dum-dums being propped up along your routes to engage in color coding, physical gestures, certain sounds, and that includes vehicles even. I kid you not. Okay, so what needs to be kept in mind about this crime, folks, is that in the community-based harassment, hold on a second. The community-based harassment has got, on the surface, it just looks like, okay, people are being propped up to say things, repeating identical words and phrases, being propped up to wear or carry something that's color-coded, people being propped up to make specific types of sounds, and then you got the vehicle color coding, okay, and even going as far as them playing specific types of pre-recorded musics. And the sound harassment from vehicles, okay, plays a huge role in this. As well as, you should also know, landscape noise is also part of that sound harassment. So when you research sound harassment connected to gang stalking, Google it first to community-based harassment, and then you can obviously also research sound harassment to specific types of technologies that are widely reported that gang stalking crimes, okay, perpetrate. So if you can imagine going out about along your day, every single day, every time you go out, you are literally forced to see every time. Let me just put it this way, because I got to say things carefully, and you know, as you continue to stay with this account, you'll hear me talk in other videos about why things have to be stated carefully. Okay. Imagine you going out and about in the community and you being a gang stalking target, and you experience bus drivers. Like, if you're a target and you got to take the bus. Okay. In fact, I'm going to actually do a reset and go back to bus drivers later. I want you to imagine being a gang stalking target, and when you go out and about in the community, every single freaking place you go, you are forced to witness somebody wearing the color coding. You are forced to hear things in your environment that they already know are being intentionally propped up, absolutely. So they know you're going to recognize it. You're being forced to see people do physical gestures. You're being forced, oh, absolutely. And you're being forced to see people engage in hand gestures and repeated words, identical words and phrases. Now, one of the reasons why I'm making this video is because a gang stalking victim, when they're if they're enduring the other sophisticated motives behind why this is done, say if you got a victim who has become extremely educated, through at least educated knowledge on the internet concerning the actual motives of why this is being done. Okay, now you're going to walk away with holes in your understanding from this video, because I'm not getting into in-depth details concerning the other main motives of why this is being done. Okay? Hold on. So you are going to have holes in your understanding. But again, wait for the videos, the upcoming videos, and you'll thoroughly understand. Oh, absolutely. So, say if you're dealing with a victim, say if the victim has become aware through at least educated knowledge and more than likely experience. Okay, remember, things have to be said carefully. So let's say if you got a victim who has become fully aware of why they're actually doing these different things, and that those main motives can bring about the lifelong slavery of the victim. It can assist in torture. It can assist in other things that are extremely detrimental to the mind and biological health. So the victim says to themselves, I'm going to do specific things in order to counteract them counteract what they're attempting to achieve so that they don't achieve it, or so that they at least marginally achieve it. Okay, like say on a scale of 1 to 10, before the victim became very educated. Okay, the victim did not know how they were doing certain things, therefore they couldn't develop their own techniques, okay, to counteract it. That left them continually vulnerable to what they were doing, continually. And we're talking about horrific crimes were being achieved because of this vulnerability, okay? So the victim, through educated knowledge, many types of educated knowledge, okay, finally realized what they were achieving. And because of these different specific types of educated knowledge, the victim's brain was able to organize that data and come up with very effective solutions to mitigate them achieving those motives. Okay? Right? Well, one of the things that would interrupt the victim from employing those countermeasures would be talking. Okay? If the victim is talking, then the victim is not going to be able to rely on a resource that they have employed within their countermeasures. Okay? Now, you'll, again, trust me, you'll understand this as I make... In fact, I'm going to go out of my way when I make the information videos connected to the lawyer video series videos that's upcoming here in the near future. I'm going to go out of my way to say, hey, look, you can consider, when I make those videos, I'm going to go out of my way when I'm making them and make specific statements where I then will say, could you refer to this, could you take this statement and incorporate it within, or at least massively consider it to be part of the two-part video series video, which, again, these videos will actually be titled Gang Stalking, Color Coding, Sensitization Methods, Human Trafficking. Okay? Now, so make no mistake about it, folks. I'm guaranteeing you, literally, if you stay with this account, you'll see it, and your jaw is going to friggin' drop. Oh, absolutely. So talking, if the victim goes along their routes and they're talking, then they're not mitigating, okay, what they're actually after. Allowing them to, okay, bringing the victim back into the extreme vulnerability. And that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video series. Because when you're a gang stalking victim and you're enduring what I'm absolutely factually enduring, and right now I'm not being allowed to prove any of it, is that because of the extreme corruption connected to the hospitals out here, and definitely always the police. Okay, look, hey, look. If the police weren't involved in this crime, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. Period. End of story. I would not be where I'm at right now if the police weren't involved in this crime. It's that simple. It's literally that simple. Okay? Now, so, oh, absolutely. Hold on a second. Sorry. So, the reason why I'm putting this out there is because if I endure any type of staged event along my routes, at bus stops, bus routes, between bus, because they'll prop up people at bus stops, and right before the bus comes, like when they see the bus is coming, instead of them getting on the bus, they'll just walk away. Okay? They'll just walk away. Okay? They won't even get on the bus. The vast majority of them won't. But you should also know that many of the people they're using at bus stops will get on the bus, and they will also already have people on the bus before it arrives at my stop. So, one thing you need to understand, though, also about gang stalking crimes is that they can have, because the environments that the gang stalking victim goes into can also have color coding connected to, I gotta say the following carefully. I've seen information on the internet by very credible sources, folks, trust me, and this stuff has even been exposed in online video podcasts by some very credible people, about how these demonic filth who host this crime will prop up color coding advertisements inside and outside of stores. They'll prop up color coding in libraries for like specific types of banners that they'll put in their little showcase, glass show case things where they're where then you'll see the color coding, and then you'll see the books there that they're supposedly advertising. Make no mistake about it, this crime is that bad, folks. Okay, they'll prop up posters at bus stops, including even on bus benches. I kid you not, folks. Okay? Now, I know how this might sound. It's going to sound a little peculiar to the uneducated mind, but trust me, you'll see truth if you stay with this account. You'll friggin' see it. Make no mistake about it. I'm literally telling you, directly telling you. You'll see truth. Okay? They will prop up color coding inside of establishments. So, you know, now I'll expand on all that later, either in the second video or in the information videos. Hold on. Excuse me, please. So, you know, you can have a victim get on a bus. You can have a victim get on a bus, and there can be 2 or 3 people sitting in the back, but you still see their black and white hat or their black and white bag that just conveniently is sitting on the ground, which will be towards the middle of the aisle. So like, say when a person gets on the bus and they start walking towards the back, the bag that's sitting next to a person who's sitting down will place that bag in the aisle, and he'll present it in a way to where he's just setting it down by his foot. Okay, so a person can be, and they can have a color-coded hat on. And that would be for, I got to say this, and I don't expect you to understand it, for mid-eye up. Okay? And that would be for binocular view, for the human eyeball, concerning how it processes visual information. And then the mid-eye down color coding would be something that would be from, like, let's say, your leg, the thigh of your leg, from your thigh of the leg down, or waist where your belt is at, down to the foot. Okay, you'll thoroughly understand that when I make some more video. You know, when I make the videos I discussed earlier. So, you know, and that's actually connected to the sophisticated motive. Okay, so you can have 3 or 4 people on the bus who will just sit there. They'll pretend they're on their phones. They'll pretend they're talking to each other. They'll be sitting there quiet, but they'll be wearing color coding. And then the person they use for the staged event won't be wearing any color coding at all. Okay? Because the sophisticated motive of why they're propping this up and using multiple different people is kept hidden from the spectator view. Okay? From the other innocent people that are on the bus. They won't know what's going on, and they'll just think that the target's got some type of problem when they initiate the event. Okay? Right? So it would be the person that comes up against the target will either be the scapegoat, the fall guy, or actual perp who will pretend to be just a bus passenger. And the way they're able to influence the target's behavior from any point of this event, from the second the victim enters the bus, or if it happens at a bus stop, everybody that's used will just act like innocent people, and the target will be blamed for any and all parts of it, including using the bus driver. Okay? Make no mistake about it, folks. Now, again, remember, excuse me, I'm thoroughly aware that right now you are having very big gaps in your understanding concerning what I'm stating. All right? And I had to leave those gaps into your current understanding, because this video series is dedicated to just introducing to you that I'm enduring color coding along my routes, and the physical gestures, the repeated words and phrases, and the intentional sounds. Okay? Now, when you, again, the information videos will fill in all those gaps, and then when you get that information, the brain will come back and organize it onto what I'm stating in these 2 videos. Okay? You got to remember, the crime of gang stalking, the criminally insane, murdering, raping, just hear me out, the criminally insane, murdering, raping, gang raping animals who host this crime. They're nothing but human trafficking, murdering animals. That's all they are. When they privately collude with businesses, bus transportation services, including bus drivers, fake bus passengers of any age, they will use anybody of any age, anywhere. Okay? You always need to remember this. They will use managers of stores. They will use security guards of stores. They will use employees of stores. They will prop up fake customers in stores. They will even go as far as making it appear that they were in the store because they had a, like, say, if just as an example, because I think this is important for you to understand. Just give you a fast tidbit here, a taste of the lengths these sick demonic rats will go to. They monitor your phone and computers so they can tell that you're going to pick up an Amazon order, and they know where you're going to be going to pick it up at. So, and they can see through the in real time monitoring and tracking of the victim. And there's some other details that could be discussed here, but they don't really need to be discussed right now. They can see, they have a very, let me just put it this way, they have many means to know when you're going to go pick up your Amazon order. They can see on your computer and or phone that the Amazon order has been delivered. Over time, they pay attention to your behavior patterns. They absolutely log your routes and routines. Absolutely. Hold on. So say if they see that, because there's the whole entire crime of gang stalking is perpetrated as a direct result of nonstop, every second of literally nonstop covert surveillance. The information extracted from that surveillance allows them to build up their schemes and their staged events and their harassments along the victim's routes. Every bit of gang stalking is able to be achieved from covert surveillance. Okay? It's covert surveilling everything. Okay? So, so when the victim leaves to go get the Amazon order, they'll go as far as 2 days before using a perp to return an item they ordered through Amazon the day after the victim ordered something through Amazon. So say if you order something through Amazon on Monday and you're due to go pick it up on Saturday, the perps will order something on Tuesday, get it delivered by Wednesday or Thursday, and then put a request in to return it. And that gives them a normal apparent excuse to be in the store to return it when the victim is in the store to pick up their orders. This is literally how bad gang stalking is, folks. And they will prop up anybody and everybody for it. Okay? So keep in mind, the crime of gang stalking will always make sure that that they got some type of bullshit. Hold on. Okay, so the crime of gang stalking will always make sure that it's got a fallback excuse concerning why it's in the environment where the victim's at. Okay, so I wanted to go out of my way to detail that to you so you can see the lengths that this crime will literally go to. Because you got to remember, when they want to, like, say if they want to stage an event to ban the victim from the plaza that the grocery store is at, where the victim is picking the Amazon order up, well, then they have to have a normal apparent excuse concerning why that person that they're using for the staged event against the victim is there. Just like when they'll prop up children to get on a bus, and the child will act like he doesn't have any bus fare, so he'll act like he's just talking to the bus driver about not having no bus fare. Right after the victim boards the bus, before the victim gets on the bus. So, bear with me 1 second. I gotta do something here. Let's see what we got here. If you can just bear with me, because I gotta do something here in order to kind of counteract what's interrupting. Hold on. Okay, so anyways, and that's just, so say if they want to stage an event between the victim and a bus driver, they'll wait until they track the victim from the grocery store, so they know that the victim has got both hands full, and so that when the victim boards the bus, their hands are going to be filled with a duffel bag, and the other hand's going to be filled with groceries. So that means when the victim gets on the bus, what they're going to want to do is get on the bus and then go to the seat to set their bags down, and then come back to pay the bus fare. And so while the victim has got their back turned, the back is facing the front of the bus because now they're walking towards the seat. That's when they'll interject another person who will be behaving like a bus passenger to enter the bus and to intentionally stand in front of the fare box. It's called crowding and blocking. And they want to make it appear that the victim is going off on somebody, either the bus driver who's telling the victim to wait, okay, or they're hoping maybe even the victim goes after the kid because they know, the victim knows that they stage this type of shit. Now, I know this sounds a little bit generic, you know, you might think to yourself, well, why didn't the victim just wait until the kid and the bus driver concluded their discussion? You'll understand that more thoroughly when you see the information videos. Crowding and blocking is one of the biggest things these demonic filth rely on, because it interrupts the gang stalking victim's thought process. It interrupts their motion, their gait of motion. And trust me, oh baby cakes, just trust me. Please, please, please just trust me. When you hear the other information, when you hear the other details in the information videos, you're going to thoroughly understand. Make no mistake about it. So, they will play these games in order to, I don't want to say to try and influence the victim, okay? So when the victim goes back to, so when the victim turns around and goes to pay the bus fare, and the victim tries to get to the bus fare box, the bus driver will go off on the victim and try and make it appear that the victim is being disruptive and that the victim is not behaving correctly for the type of scenario that's going on, to try and draw the victim into a staged, blown-out drama. Okay? And that can then easily be used for the bus driver to say, you got to get off the bus. And they use a kid because they want to make it appear that, oh, a child ain't playing a role in gang stalking. A child ain't playing a role in gang stalking. A child's just innocently asking a bus driver, and the bus driver doesn't like the fact that you're telling the bus driver after he goes off on you that, why should I have to wait? The kid was after me. See, what you got to understand here is that the child is fake. The child is not a real prospective bus passenger. He's fake. He's a person who's being used because the hosts know, that's colluding with the bus service, knows that a child, to the average onlooker, looks like the most innocent part of society, just like an elderly person does. Okay? That's what you got to understand about gang stalking. Gang stalking plays around with everybody's perceptions. It will stage events for the sake of the video camera. It will stage events and play them out in ways so that when bus drivers see you going having a problem with the bus driver over the event, they'll think that the target, who they don't know is a target, is acting irrational because the bus driver was just trying to help a kid. Because you got to remember, strategic deception plays around with your perceptions, not just the perceptions of a victim, but also the perceptions of what they can turn around and apply a narrative to a video camera, and the perceptions of the bus passengers. Okay? Right? So the goal is, when the victim goes back to the bus fare box, the bus driver goes off on the victim, and the victim's still acting rational and normal, but the bus driver is now got an excuse to go off on the victim. Okay? And they don't want you to be able to turn around later and say, well, I know this person came on the bus deliberately and was blocking me, so they use a kid in order to try and alter your cognitive thinking processes about that scenario. Okay? Now, I already know for a fact that MTS Bus Services out here is massively involved in this crime in numerous ways, and it will rotate bus drivers too. Oh, absolutely. So that if one bus driver keeps going off on you, it will look apparent that it's the bus driver's fault. So they keep rotating bus drivers into new ones, and then they'll just tell the new ones what to say. Okay? Where everybody plays their role, in part, the gang of gang stalking. And same things concern the fake customers when you go to get your Amazon orders. The fake customers that are already in the post office before you arrive. And the ones who get in line behind you after you get in line in grocery stores, post offices, banks, okay, movie theaters, anywhere you friggin' go. The people who get propped up to sit directly around you when you're in a library. Okay? Alright? So, Gang stalking forces the victim to notice I have seen hundreds of reports over the years, hundreds of them, where gang stalking victims say every time they turn their head, they're forced to see somebody who's propped up, who's either wearing color coding, doing a physical gesture, repeating a word or phrase, or some type of sound is in the environment, or a mixture of all four. Every time they turn their fucking head. Okay? Literally. Now, once you hear the sophisticated motives of why all this is being done, you're going to be extremely pissed. It's the only thing I can tell you right now, folks. I'm literally begging you to stay with this account. So, because you have a right to know, for one, when you hear the detailed statements about what these demonic filth who are hosting this satanic crime, lowlifes of the lowest, okay, you're going to be extremely pissed. There's no way for you to see those. We're talking about extremely sophisticated motives of why this is actually being done, because we can sit back and we can say to ourselves, look, what are the perpetrators gaining? What do you think? Because think about this. You got tens and tens of thousands of gang stalking victims on a daily basis openly stating that people are being propped up along their routes to do the four things, the four types of main motives, the four types of things that I've exposed in this video. Color coding, sound harassment, physical gestures, and repeating words and phrases. Tens of thousands of victims are reporting it daily. And these are only four things of many that are being done. So, why would a government and the police, why would the federal government work in this covert collusion with state, county, local governments, state, county, local police, businesses, universities, transportation services, and much, 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 much more? Why would they be doing all of this, okay, and not, do you really think they're doing all of this and not benefiting from it? When you get up in the morning, what do you do with your day? You get up, you start your day, and you say to yourself, I'm going to pay attention to what I need to get done today. I got to get up, take a shower, eat breakfast, wash my clothes, if that's what you need to do. Wash your clothes or go out and take care of your business. Banking, post office, maybe go get a pizza, okay? Pick up your kids from school, okay? When you look at what the average family does, which is what the things that average families do that are not involved in gang stalking, that's normal life. Okay? When an average family goes into a store, as long as they're not being gang stalked, then they're going into a store, when they're going to a post office, when they're going to a bank, when they're taking a bus, and they're not experiencing gang stalking, then what they're experiencing is normal everyday life. What gang stalking does is that it creates a construct. And the construct is what's being intentionally propped up for the victim to endure within these environments that you just go about and go into when you go about your day. The program of gang stalking is constructed for the victim to endure in these environments. And it's crafted in a way to where it's not, most of it is not outwardly distinguishable to the average person that's also in the environment. Okay? And I think you will discover this when you research the sensitization method of gang stalking, the direct conversation method of gang stalking. Hold on. The sensitization method of gang stalking, the direct conversation method of gang stalking, color coding, sound harassment, community-based sound harassment, physical gestures, and that's just to mention a few of many. It's abundantly clear when you do your research that there is a program of gang stalking going on. Folks, this has been covered repeatedly on national radio shows, including ones I've been on. It's been marginally covered on local news broadcasts, and there's even been some high-profile cases connected to gang stalking on the national news, like Aaron Alexis, the Navy Yard shooter, Myron May, the Florida University school shooter. Okay? Trust me, folks, you better stay with this account. Okay? So what we can do is we can say, yeah, this sounds kind of interesting, or she's telling me that if I research this crime, I will become educated. Therefore, through that knowledge, I'm more able to take care of my wife, my husband, my children, my friends, my property, and that means all your property, make no mistake about it, okay, my neighborhood, and my community, okay? If I choose to stay with those accounts, I will then eventually have the knowledge I need to take care of, to make sure my family is never affected by this crime, to make sure my friends are never affected by this crime, to make sure my property is safe, to make sure that my immediate neighborhood is safe, and to make sure that my community large is something I don't have to be concerned about. You're only going to be able to make those types of... you can't make informed decisions without knowledge. You're getting knowledge from an extremely educated victim. A high-profile victim, by the way. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, folks. So, I want you to know what I'm enduring along my route. And I'm here to tell you, bold-faced, flat-out, flat-face, MTS out here has always been a main, massive player in this crime. And the lying, demonic filth that is managing and directing MTS knows it down to the fiber of their being, and so does SDPD. You better believe it, folks. But both of those entities will act like they don't know what gang stalking is. They'll claim you're mentally ill. They'll claim you're crazy. They'll claim you're a threat to yourself or others. Okay, and they'll stage events to provoke you, to get you to act out, so they can then reinforce that lie. MTS is a huge main player in this crime. They've also been implicated by at least 3 other women in San Diego, at least. And that, finding them 3 other women, was by accident. If I did a thorough research into MTS, I bet you $10 I'd find many others. Okay? Absolutely. You have a right to know. If your child is writing MTS, you have a friggin' right to know. Okay? Absolutely. I am way past being fed up with MTS and their lying, organized crime, criminal ass, affecting its demonic pathologies onto my life. They can lie about it all they want, to everybody and anybody. They can stage an event and ban me all they want, but they will never, ever, ever be forgotten. Absolutely. So always remember this, folks. The program of gang stalking is a construct. It's a construct where, like, if you ever go out and about in your community and you see a construction project, okay, and you see it starting, and then a year later you see what got built, okay, well, when something gets built, it's got a foundation, then it's got like and then the foundation is built upon, and then you got the middle part of what got built, and then you got the top part. Well, that's what gang stalking is. It's a program that's got a foundation of methods, techniques, tactics, maneuvers, resources. The people who host it have absolute influence over pretty much every environment you can think of, okay? And it works through a bunch of different tentacled, let's just say, that influence can be tentacled into pretty much any environment, grocery stores, everything when you go out and about in your community. I mean, think about, literally, honestly, say to yourself, what do I see when I go out about my community? You see post offices, stores, coffee shops, okay, CVS, Whole Foods, post offices, banks, universities, bus stops. These are the things that make up your community. They make up my community. Who has got the influence to collude with all these different types of places? Do you really think it's a street punk walking into a bank, a post office, a Domino's pizzeria, okay, Phil's coffee shop, CVS, Whole Foods, my post office, anybody's post office, any Target's post office, okay? Any business, like laundromats, any business a gang stalking victim walks into, it's vastly reported that all these businesses are being contacted by somebody. And that somebody is a human being or human beings. It's not a ghost. These human beings have power of position and influence, because no dumbass street punk can walk off a street and walk into a bank or a post office and say, when this person comes in, we want you to repeat a word or phrase. We want you to engage in a physical gesture. We want you to allow these other people to come in and do it. You wouldn't believe what my tape recorders picked up. You just would not believe it, folks. I kid you not. Okay, tape recorders, like, let me just show you something here real fast, okay? Do you see this tape recorder? This is a physical, tangible device. It was made concerning, the reason why it was made is because it had a motive. Okay, the motive was to create it and its features and functions and the way it operates so that it can tape record things and play it back. Okay? Right? It's a physical, tangible object made through solid state physics and other types of, fields of expertise. But at the end of the day, once it's made, it's a tape recorder. So do you really think a tape recorder can have a mental illness? If a tape recorder picks up anybody repeating, "Oh my God," and laughing along my routes everywhere I go, especially if gang stalk and suck DICK is being said with it, do you really think that's an accident? Because think about it. Did you ever hear of gang stalking before you watched this video? So why would people be propped up along my routes to repeat gang stalk, suck DICK, suck my DICK, oh my God, and laugh? Because, when I first started exposing this crime online out here in San Diego, I was titling my YouTube videos Learning Disabled Woman. I was not telling anybody except for the police that I was being gang stalked. So how can I go into business for the first time ever and people that are in the business are repeating it once I get in there? The people who are repeating it are already in there before I arrive. You'll understand that more when you see the upcoming videos. Okay? All right, so I've got over 200 audio files of this type of stuff being caught on MTS buses, MTS bus routes, just concerning MTS alone, including bus drivers being caught saying it. Who told the bus drivers to say it? Do you think some dumbass passenger came up to a bus driver and said, "Hey, will you repeat this for me?" Bus driver's going to say, "Sit down, or you're getting off the bus," or "Sit down, or get off the bus, or I'm calling the police," if that was a natural environment. Okay? MTS, look, cyber surveillance is a method of gang stalking. These sick, demonic little filth who host this crime, they know you're exposing them. And that means they know you're exposing who they're using. So they'll even wait for maybe a week or two. They'll go back to normal operations to make it look like, hey, nothing's going on. Okay? Nothing's going on. And then 2 weeks down the road, they'll start it right back up again. Or the next time you go to the bus stop and try to catch a bus and get on the bus, they'll stage an event and ban you. Okay? MTS, though, let's imagine for a minute that MTS, okay, one day becomes aware of this video. Well, I'm here to tell MTS right now, one day I'm coming for you legally, and I'll never stop until you're in jail. Okay, or at least I win a lawsuit from you. I've had it with you. I'm past being had it with you. Folks, we can look at it this way. It's a very simple formula. If when you research the FBI and gang stalking, when you research the Department of Homeland Security and gang stalking, when you research state, county, local police and gang stalking, they are them four right there have a lot of influence over walking into a business and saying, "Hey, look at this fake, bogus criminal investigation file that we're presenting to you. So we want your cooperation." And this is the type of cooperation we want. And then bus drivers are told what to do, and there you go. Okay? Before the bus arrives, the bus driver already knows that there's people on the bus that are going to participate and work together in the gang stalking towards a victim. And they're going to lie about it up and down the road. They're going to claim the victim's mentally ill or a threat to themselves or others or on something or whatever else they bullshit, lying, whore-ass lie that they choose to write on paper or that comes out of their mouth. Because they're nothing but literal criminals. End of story. It's all they are, is criminals. MTS, you don't ever want to square off with me in court. I guarantee it. Okay? I guarantee it. You don't ever want to square off with me in court. So, folks, people don't just get up and say, "This place is involved in gang stalking to me. This place is involved in the gang stalking." Let me give you another example. When I was in Michigan and being gang stalked, I made emails, and all my emails were hacked and manipulated by the perpetrators in Michigan, because this is an interstate crime. I was making emails in Michigan saying that Kroger's employees were involved in the gang stalking of me in Michigan. Okay? Absolutely. Then I moved out to San Diego years later and was gang stalked and caught identical to a T, massive verbal harassment, identical to a T, at 3 Rouse locations. The same exact identical harassment that's been caught along all my routes. Well, guess what? Kroger's owns Rouse. Okay? So make no mistake about it, folks. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? Because think about it. Michigan and San Diego are 3,000 miles apart. If I got emails from Michigan saying I'm being gang stalked inside and outside of Kroger's in Dearborn, Michigan off of Michigan Avenue and Outer Drive, I then leave Michigan and go to Connecticut. And then from Connecticut come to San Diego, and I catch an audio file, at least 75 of them, of people inside of Rouse, 3 different locations, repeating "suck dick, gang stalk," and "oh my god," and even laughing. That includes managers and customers being caught. Rouse is owned by Kroger's. Do you really believe that I wasn't telling the truth in Michigan? Okay? Do you honestly believe that I'm not telling the truth about MTS? Why would I implicate MTS if MTS wasn't involved? Okay? So, if they come after me before I can upload the videos about the other sophisticated stuff, do you honestly think that they would not use the resources connected to those sophisticated things in order to make it appear that, yes, they do have a legitimate reason to arrest me, ticket me, ban me from any place, including MTS? Because think about this, folks, and then I gotta let you go. If a crime has a resource where they can use that resource against the victim to cause the victim to do something that they can then turn and later say, hey, look, our video cameras show that you are the problem, therefore our justified reason to ban you and or ticket you and or arrest you is justified. Do you really believe for 1 minute they won't use that resource? Because they already know you got evidence concerning them. MTS knows I got evidence concerning them. The police know I got evidence concerning them. Make no mistake about it ever, period. That is a thorough, pure, absolute, thorough, pure truth. They know I got these evidences. They ain't stupid. They're criminally insane, but they ain't stupid. Okay? So do you really think they wouldn't use these resources? Of course they would, folks. Come on. You know, any target at any time when they're making a video can drop some hints about what might those types of resources might be, like remote neural monitoring, voice to skull with voice morphing. How many victims are all over the internet stating that remote neural monitoring is being used on them? Okay, that voice to skull with voice morphing is being used on them. Okay, and much more. You should also research biomedical implantation in gang stalking. Yeah, baby. I mean, there's got to be a reason why ultrasound has been caught on over 5 different bus routes out here in San Diego, MTS. Is ultrasound a carrier way for what? Is it possible remote neural monitoring? What about voice to skull? What would be MTS's normal apparent excuse for why ultrasound and infrasound has been caught on their bus routes and bus stops? Think about what I'm saying, folks. These are the realities. Truth and reality is a bitch to lies, criminality, and covert means to perpetrate it, and covert colluding relationships to effect it and protect it all. It's a bitch. It's a bitch. Okay? You know, so stay tuned, folks. Okay? When I'm along my routes from now on, okay, I can't make statements in my tape recorder anymore about what I'm enduring. Because when I do that, it's interrupting a resource that I'm using that's anchoring me back. So I keep in focus concerning what I need to be doing and what I should be watching out for that the perps will try to suck me into. It's very important that I listen to my tape recorder. And if I'm talking, I'm not able to hear what I'm stating in my tape recorder. There's 2 last statements I'll make. Consider this very, 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 very closely. And I'm going to say things creatively, too, so just pay attention, and you can say to yourself, should I be reading between the lines here? Voice to skull with voice morphing is where they can take it's a technology that allows them and I know this is going to sound funny to you at first, just hear me out and you can do the research, because the patents for this technology is all over the internet, and there's tens of thousands of testimonies all over the internet about it, including scientists, doctors, lawyers, professors. It's been on national radio shows, including ones I've been on. Voice of Skull is across the board complaint concerning this demonic murdering, raping, gang raping, human trafficking, enslaving, demonic crime. Okay? So, Voice of Skull is where they can send acoustic narratives to the auditory cortex of the gang stalking victim's brain. Trust me, I know how that sounds. But Voice of Skull with voice morphine is where they can literally send the sound of your voice to your auditory cortex with dialogue, and you'll just think you're having an in real-time thought. Okay? Now, how many people can be prompted to act on those thoughts? So if they're using Voice of Skull with voice morphine on you at a bus stop or a bus route or inside or outside of a grocery store, a bank, a movie theater, a Rite Aid, a CVS, a Whole Foods, a post office, when you stop and take a cigarette break between these businesses, oh, that guy right there's got a cool beard. I'm going to walk up to him and ask him how long it took him to grow it. And then after you start talking to him for a second, he starts interjecting gang-stalking bullshit into you. Well, you just thought that was your own thought to approach him. Okay? Do you see how dangerous Voice of Skull with voice morphine is? Voice morphine is the voice cloning of your own voice print. Okay? Now, folks, hold on a second because I've lost my train of thought. Bear with me 2 seconds here. Remote neuromonitoring can manipulate your brain states. Okay? How you feel, anger, depression, fear, sadness, and much more. Okay? Excitation, anxiety, everything. Imagine your brain being manipulated during a staged event or right before it. Okay? While you're enduring Voice of Skull with voice morphine. This is just information I'm throwing out there to you folks. Okay? Ultrasound is reported to be a carrier wave for both. It's one of the main ways that Voice of Skull can be portrayed against a gang stalking victim. Can you see? Okay? Can you see ultrasound in the air? Of course not. You gotta have an ultrasound app. And, you know, if you got a victim who doesn't take many buses to get from A to B, then the perpetrators, through them learning your routes and routines, they know this. So they'll stage an event against you really fast before you have time to bring up your phone, okay, to prove that ultrasound is in the environment at the time that you endure neural manipulation and or any part of a staged event, which neural manipulation can occur within it. They count on this. They count on it. They count on your ignorance and much more. So consider this. When a human being is internally talking to themselves, they're hearing their voice print in their own mind, which means they're hearing it in their auditory cortex. Like when you read a book. Hold on. If I suddenly stop talking, it's because I'm going to just take a small puff of my cigarette. Okay, so, but the thing about Voice of Skull is that Voice of Skull, when they're using Voice of Skull with voice morphine, the human brain can only process the sound of your voice in real time, one time at a time. If you're listening to a tape recorder audio file with your voice on it, it's very hard for Voice of Skull with voice morphine to get in. Okay? Alright? I'm personally aware of a victim who's using a tape recorder who makes audio files of their own voice. And some of those descriptions on those audio files are descriptions to remind the victim of what they're capable of doing along your routes. So the victim is listening to the audio file through a set of earbuds in their ears, and they might even have noise cancellation headphones on so that the sound of traffic does not interfere with the victim to be able to clearly hear what's on the audio file, making it hard for Voice of Skull with voice morphine to get through because the auditory processing area of the brain cannot process the sound of your voice from the tape recorder and the voice of Voice of Skull with voice morphine, which is the sound of your voice, in parallel. And the perpetrators fucking know this. So the victim goes to get on the bus, and they go to put their bike on the bus, and they're listening to that audio file, and all of a sudden the tape recorder jams. It's got full powered batteries in it. The audio file is playing while it's in the hold mode. Yet all of a sudden, when the bus pulls up and the victim goes to put the bus on the bike rack, or when the victim goes to put the bike on the bike rack in front of the bus, the tape recorder stops playing. So the victim puts the bike on the bike rack and stops and looks at the tape recorder, and it's got a bunch of X's across the home screen of it. But then when the victim boards the bus, all of a sudden the tape recorder's working fine again, after the bus driver has said something to the victim. See, it only takes 20 milliseconds for your voice to process, for anybody's voice, when somebody says something to you, it takes about 20 milliseconds for that statement to process in your auditory cortex, in your brain to your auditory cortex, for the comprehension of what's said and everything. 20 milliseconds. 1 millisecond is 100th of a second. 20 milliseconds is even shorter than that. Okay? So if they're trying to influence you through voice to skull with voice morphing based on something the bus driver is saying to you or a bus passenger, it happens that fast. But they can't have the tape recorder interfering with the voice to skull with voice morphing. Do they have any way of knowing what you're listening to? Could that be an ear implant, which has a sound processor on it and an antenna? Cochlear ear implant. Do they have the capacity to jam your tape recorder? I suggest you go to Google and type in at Google John St. Aklewi, A-K-L-E-W-I, versus the NSA. That lawsuit's in hundreds of blogs all over the internet, and it details some of the features and functions of remote neuromonitoring. In that lawsuit and many others, it openly dictates that they can control the function of any electronic device, its functions, the information in the electronic device, and they can make it completely inoperable or temporarily inoperable from a distance. Remote neural monitoring you neurally remotely. Part of your brain is your auditory cortex, which means they can hear what you're listening to. They know that the auditory cortex cannot process the sound of your voice in parallel, which means you're listening to your voice on the tape recorder. They're trying to send to you voice to skull with voice morphing, which is the sound of your voice. So they got to get the tape recorder out of the way. Research my statements, folks. Research them. But then when the victim goes and gets on the bus, all of a sudden the tape recorder is working fine. But the tape recorder don't start. See, and here's another thing you should notate. When I used to buy, because I got another tape recorder that's identical to this, identical make and model, identical everything. It's the same exact identical tape recorder, and I use the other one. It's in this fanny pack right here, and I use the other ones for years. And when I would turn it on, it would take less than a second for it to boot up. Less than a second, which means I turn it on, take less than a second for it to boot up, press play, and the audio file's right there. Now, this one was ordered a few months ago, maybe about 7-8 months ago. And it was working the same way the other one was working until about a month after I bought it. So, watch how long it takes for this to boot up. Watch. Does that look like more than 1 second? Okay? If voice to skull with voice morphing can reach you in 20 milliseconds, yeah, go back and look at how long it took for this audio file, for the tape recorder to turn on, and then for me to be able to play the audio file, count how many seconds it is, and compare it to the ratio of 20 milliseconds. That's more than enough time for voice to skull with voice morphing to come at you. Okay? And then why would the bus driver immediately say something to you when you get on the bus? You ignore them, and then all of a sudden the tape recorder's working again. Okay? So could that victim be referring to MTS bus drivers? Was it an MTS bus when the tape recorder stopped playing? See, these demonic bitches, especially if the victim has got a non-consensual cochlear ear implant in them, or any other type of auditory implant in them. One thing you need to understand about cochlear ear implants, folks, is that a cochlear ear implant, when you extensively research cochlear ear implants, the gang stalking crimes, and it's a common complaint, by the way, a lot of cochlear ear implants are Wi-Fi accessible. Bus services have Wi-Fi. I know for a fact MTS has Wi-Fi. Currently, they're claiming that it's only available to the MTS bus drivers. If you get on an MTS bus out here in San Diego, and most of those buses, over the intercom, when it's approaching a bus stop, it will say the name of the street. Well, how do you think that's possible? If a bus, say if a, as an example, say if the bus is at, let's say, Villa La Jolla Square Drive in La Jolla, San Diego, California, and it's approaching Villa La Jolla Square Drive from its previous bus stop. As it's approaching Villa La Jolla Square Drive, its speaker will say Villa La Jolla Square Drive. Well, how do you think that speaker knows to say that? How does the bus know that it's approaching Villa La Jolla Square Drive in order for the speaker to say, next bus stop, Villa La Jolla Square Drive? Because there's an antenna at the Villa La Jolla Square Drive bus stop, and MTS has got a GPS tracker on it, emitting a signal through its Wi-Fi antenna. Now, Wi-Fi is another main reported conduit for remote neural monitoring and voice-to-skull. Because Wi-Fi ain't nothing but a radio signal. Remote neural monitoring is working off the radio spectrum, and so is voice-to-skull. And by the way, my tape recorders run through the radio spectrum. Why is ultrasound caught on MTS buses? MTS was warned by me, legally warned by me, creatively, that if you keep messing with me, any gang stalking victim can be made to look mentally ill. I mean, because you think about it, the average human being that doesn't know anything about gang stalking, think about what I'm saying here. The average person doesn't even know gang stalking exists. When an average person is going down the street in their car, walking, jogging, whatever, and they see a bus, what do you think when you see a bus? I see a bus. Why would you think a bus service is involved in organized crime if you don't know anything about gang stalking? So if you heard somebody saying, hey, this bus service is involved in organized stalking, gang stalking, which is connected to organized crime, oh, that's all gang stalking is, and you don't know anything about gang stalking, you might think, this person sounds crazy. Really? Sweethearts and munching butts, you are not safe in ignorance. It's the fastest way I can say it to you. You are not safe in ignorance. Okay? So, if a gang stalking victim's thinking processes and their behaviors can be manipulated through tech that you can't see, that other bus passengers can't see, and that's a resource of these human trafficking murdering maggots who are hosting this crime, because that's all they are. The people that host this crime only care about one thing: exploitation, slavery, murder, torture, rape, gang rape, human trafficking, and a whole host of other organized crime schemes. That's all they care about, period. Okay? And they care about protecting the image that they already have propped up, because when you have when you look at a picture hanging on your wall, what do you see when you see that picture? You, like, say if you see a picture, just as a metaphorical example, when you see a picture, okay, just like a picture puzzle, you go to a Walmart and you see that they got a part of, on their shelves, they got a section dedicated to picture puzzles. And you think, okay, well, I want a picture puzzle. So you look at the box and you see what the puzzle's supposed to look like before you buy it, that it's supposed to look like once you build the puzzle. Okay? So when you look at a picture on your wall, okay, when you look at a picture puzzle and you look at it and you say, okay, I can see what this picture is. Okay? And therefore you're able to deduce the content of it and the narrative that it will generate to you. A woman, okay, churning butter. Okay? A man working on a car. A painter painting a picture. Okay, a painter, literally, it's literally a picture of a painter painting a picture. You're seeing it, so your brain is deducing what it is. There's no illusion there, because you're being presented with a in real time exact narrative, right? Okay, a picture paints 1,000 words. So if you don't know that a bus service is involved in gang stalking, and you see a bus, you're just going to say, that's a bus. And what do buses do? They go down the road and they pick up people and they take them to their destination, right? If you see a video of a woman yelling at a bus driver, or a man yelling at a bus driver, and it doesn't appear that the bus driver is doing anything wrong, he's just doing his job, then you're seeing a picture being presented to you. But what you're not seeing is that the bus driver has either said something or done something, okay, in the past towards that victim, and the victim has finally had it with that bus driver on the day that he's being used while he's acting innocent and just doing his job, while the victim was being neurologically, okay, remotely interfaced with remote neuromonitoring and voice to skull to get that victim to say certain things to the bus driver. So they can make the victim look like a total crazy person while the bus driver's just saying something that would be the normal request of a bus driver. Do you understand? See, when you watch the news on a daily basis, you're being presented with storylines, with what the news anchors are telling you. They're showing you a picture of just a metaphorical example of Israel going into some part of Gaza, okay? And you're being told by this news anchor that Hamas just got done firing 75 rockets into Israel the day before. So that would be a justified reason to go into the Gaza Strip. Hell yeah, it would. No matter what you think about this situation with Israel and Gaza, right? But then you turn another channel and you see another news station saying Israel is genocide in Gaza. What you're seeing here is visual representations, and it's being added to. What you see visually is being auditorily, verbally added to by the news anchor who's presenting the pictures and the videos. And so the mind believes it, because that's the tricky thing about the mind. See, what you got to understand about the brain, hear me out. Most human beings don't know this. Just, what do you hear this? When we go to a movie and we watch a movie at a movie theater, have you ever been to a movie theater and you've seen somebody also watching the movie say if it's a scary movie? Hold on. In fact, you can just be doing this at home. You don't even have to be at a movie theater. Have you ever watched a scary movie and you see the woman, okay, she starts running, okay, but she's got time to take off the high heel shoes, okay, all right, and you know she's gonna fall, and then the people chasing her are gonna get her, right? So let me actually use a different example. Just hear me out. Okay, so say you got people hiding in a house because a slasher guy has invaded the house. And so these people are hiding from him, right? Okay, and then so the people that are hiding, instead of them being completely quiet, they're talking, they're whimpering because they're scared out of their minds. Okay, and so then people in the audience will say, "Why don't you shut the fuck up?" And they won't get you. Okay, so the people that are hiding in the house should be completely quiet, but they're not being quiet because they're so scared out of their mind. They're making noises. They're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Okay, that would then allow the person who's coming to kill them, okay, know where they're at. So you're seeing people in the theater saying, "Be quiet, be quiet, be quiet." Why do you think that is? And they're referring to the people who are hiding because they're making noises as they're hiding, okay? So the people that are watching the movie are saying, "Be quiet, why don't you just be quiet? How stupid can you be? Be quiet," okay? Right? Well, why do you think people are making comments like that? And we all have seen it. We've all done it. You're watching a movie and you say, "No, don't go in there. Don't go in there. The killer's in there." Okay? Don't go in there. Don't do it. Why do you think you're saying that while you know, part of you knows that you're watching a movie? Because what you got to understand about how the brain processes information. When you watch a movie, your brain is seeing theatrics being played out. Visual theatrics and verbal theatrics. And the visual theatrics and the verbal theatrics and the scenery of the environments all work together in showcasing to you parts of the storyline that are being presented to you in a sequential way. Therefore, your brain is deciphering what's going on in the moment and how that moment was built upon by the previous moment of what you saw the minute before, right? So the brain is processing this. And so what you got to understand about the brain is that the brain, when it sees things and it's picking it apart and it's understanding it in real time, you're visually taking things in at 20 milliseconds per second, and you're auditorily taking things in at 20 milliseconds per second. And as it's processing all the variables of what you're seeing and hearing, the brain is coming to conclusions about what you're seeing and hearing. And thought comprehension is very similar to belief. Okay? Belief and thought comprehension. Your comprehension of your thoughts based on what you're seeing and hearing is very close. The area in the brain that's responsible for that is the same area of the brain that's very close to the area of the brain that is involved in belief. You believing something that you're seeing. That's why a lot of people, when they're watching a movie, will say, no, don't go in there. The killer's in there. Okay? So instead, see, because what you can understand is when you're watching a movie, when you go into that movie theater, before you even start seeing the movie, you're physically and mentally aware that you're going to see a movie. But as you're in the midst of watching it, your brain is going to say, no, don't go in there, don't go in there, don't go in there, or shut up, don't make no noise, the killer's there. You forget that you're watching a movie because the brain is switching back and forth between belief and thought comprehension. Okay? Do you understand? When you're seeing something play out in a movie, your brain is seeing it and it's thinking about what it's seeing and it's coming up with a conclusion about what you're seeing. Well, that area of the brain is very close to the area of the brain that's responsible for belief. Believing what you're seeing, believing what you're hearing. And that's why a lot of people say that type of shit. Don't go in there, the killer's in there. Well, aren't you aware that you're watching a movie? It's already pre-programmed that concerning what's going to happen. Okay? But yet you're still saying it. Well, that's what gang stalking knows about the brain. When you're being hit with voices called with voice morphing, the brain hears what it's being presented with through voices called and voice morphing. And so then the brain believes that that's your thought. Okay? So you're very prone to act on it, even though it's not your thought. It's voices called with voice morphing tricking you to believing it's your thought. And voices called with voice morphing can happen to any victim, anywhere. Okay? So when you believe what you're believing through voices called voice morphing, because it goes up from the subconscious mind to the preconscious mind to the conscious mind, and by the time it's in the conscious mind, okay, it's very likely that other intense variables are going on for you to see, like a bus driver yelling at you. Okay? All right? Therefore, you're more susceptible to believe that thought you have about the bus driver yelling at you, because it happens that fast. 20 milliseconds for that voice to skull with voice morphing to comprehend in your mind while the bus driver is yelling at you, and the voice to skull with voice morphing will say, I know you're involved in gang stalking and you're not drawing me into an event, and then you say it. Okay? And that could actually be forced speech connected to remote neural monitoring. So why wouldn't you believe that that's your thought? Because you already know through hundreds of prior experiences that these bus drivers are absolutely involved in the gang stalking of you. They literally are trying to draw you into a staged event. But to draw you in, they got to create a situational scenario to draw you in about. And then that's where they'll bring the kid in to block you being able to pay your fare. Okay, and so just trust me. I'll expand on this more in the upcoming. Just trust me, folks. Trust me. That's why gang stalking will prop up a staged event to happen extremely fast. So you don't have time to counter-react it with your own thoughts. And if voice to skull with voice morphing can be interrupted by you listening to an audio file that says, don't get sucked into a staged event between you and bus passengers and bus drivers, well, they can't have that. Do you really think it's an accident that your tape recorder stops running when you go to board the bus? That it just magically jams up by itself? Think about what I'm saying. Go to Google and extensively research at Google. Okay, how your brain cannot process the sound of your voice twice in parallel concerning different dialogue. Like, in other words, you can't have one thought in real time of, I'm going to go to Domino's and get a pizza, while you're simultaneously having a thought, I'm not going to get sucked into a drama, okay, with an MTS bus driver and or a passenger and a bus driver working together in collusion while they're trying to make it appear that they're just having a normal social interaction, but it's got attributes connected to it that will draw the victim in one way or another. Your brain cannot process that information because it's two separate types of things. Okay? It can't process the sound of you can't think in parallel two different thoughts, which is why a lot of people will have a hard time hearing some, it even can be somewhat in contrasting way, but somewhat understood by you trying to have a phone call and speak to somebody and hear what somebody's speaking to you through a phone while there's a lot of noise going on around you. Because the brain needs a certain amount of focus and attention auditorily. And if you got a lot of auditorial stimuli interfering with that, then your brain's going to get jammed up. I've seen it repeatedly being talked about in many TV shows, okay, and movies, where people will just say, hey, wait a minute, I'm trying to hear something here. Will you be quiet for a minute? It's literally that simple, okay? But that's not the same concept, but it plays a role concerning how auditorial processing occurs. What you got to understand about gang stalking is that the demonic bitches who are hosting this, they're the most vile, disgusting, demented socio-psychopaths that have literally ever walked this planet. And they don't give a shit at all. They don't care about what you think about them, me, you, or anybody else. But they do care about the places that they're using, okay, being sucked into. Let's just say, put it to you this way. They care about certain exposures that you put online, yes. They care about you exposing the businesses they're using. They care about you exposing the transportation services they're using. They care about you exposing indisputable evidence. Okay, they care about that. Of course it does, because then it doesn't leave them with any fallback cushion for them to deny that evidence. If you make a prediction, let's see, if a bus driver goes off on me today, or doesn't pick me up at the bus stop in a tweet on Twitter, and then you go to the bus stop and a bus driver goes off on you or doesn't pick you up, do you think that's an accident? I mean, think about what I'm saying. So then they got to come up with some bullshit excuse concerning why they didn't pick you up. Oh, she called me this the last time I saw her, or she won't put the bike rack up. But what's the real motive? The real motive is to keep you at the bus stop for hours on end in order to affect your schedule, and other motives. And so trust me, folks, again, remember, when you see the information videos connected to the lawyer video series videos, you'll have a more thorough, comprehensive understanding concerning all of the different equally important motives of why they do each technique. Each technique. Each one. Okay? Nothing is done in gang stalking without a specific, pre-calculated, premeditated motive before the thing is even initiated. Abso-fucking-lutely. So I want you to imagine going along your routes every single fucking day, and practically every place you interface with is gang stalking is absolutely going on in there. Security guards will play their role when they're told to. These assholes are communicating with each other through cell phones, walkie-talkies, ham radios, the covert collusion of the power of the position of influence that's privately bringing these places on board. Okay? The FBI is one of the biggest, and the DHS are, and them working with state, county, local police are, absolutely, are 5 in real time, massively reported entities that got the influence to do these types of things. Because think about it, if a dumbass street punk wants to gang stalk somebody, do you really think that dumbass street punk can walk into a bank and get the bank to work in collusion? Do you really think the bank's going to cooperate with some dumbass street punk that walks in and says, will you do this or will you do that? Okay? Do you really think some dumbass street hood is going to be able to walk into a Whole Foods or a post office or a bank or a bus transportation service? I mean, who got MTS to alter the assault video of the staged assault they perpetrated against me on 10/10/11? And who got STPD to lie about the assailant? Somebody is working here. These people got legs, they got employment descriptions, they got power of influence, and they got the power to protect all of it, and they also got the power to claim the victim's mentally ill, a threat to themselves or others, and or can't take care of themselves. Another reason why they make you homeless, by the way. That's a fucking lutely. If it wasn't for SDPD and their lying organized crime whore ass, I wouldn't have went through anything I went through in San Diego since, let me see if I remember the date correctly. If I'm off here, that's okay. It was, 10 days after I got here, I was assaulted at a bus stop. I called the police and had to wait over an hour and a half for him. An hour and a half for him. Okay? And then the assailant, all he did was lie right to their face, and they said they couldn't do nothing about it. It's total bullshit. Because there was traffic cameras right there. Okay? That was the first day I reported to them that I was being gang stalked in San Diego. And so then that would have been around August 18, 2011. Every crime that I've endured, including that crime, every single crime, every single second of suffering, every dollar and penny spent trying to survive, protect myself, and stay safe falls right back onto San Diego Police Department. I don't give two shits what they think about any of my statements. I don't give a flying you know what. They don't care about anything I went through. They don't care about anything that's been done to me. They don't care about the endless, nonstop suffering I've endured everywhere. The thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars I've had to spend surviving this crime, staying safe from it, okay, and exposing it. They don't give two shits. But you fucking walk up to a cop and say, hey, look, give me your wallet, he's going to throw you in jail. Because what's in his wallet is his money that he used to survive. But they don't give two shits about the tens of thousands of dollars I've had to go through, suffering through this crime and surviving it. They don't give two shits at all. They look at you as a subject matter. They don't give a fuck. Okay? Anytime they watch my video, they'll sit back and laugh. That's how I imagine the pathology of these people. Because if they gave a shit, they would have investigated the first complaint. Tens of thousands of dollars. Every Social Security paycheck has been, since 2011 in San Diego, has been used to survive, stay safe, and expose this crime. Every bit of clothing, camping gear, all of it spent because I'm being forced to remain a victim of this crime. That is their fault. And they know it. Yeah. You think about, how do you think that you weren't dealing with this? Tens of thousands of dollars stolen from you as a direct result of action and deliberate action and inaction of the police. Yet you fucking walk up to them and say, I want that $5 sitting in your car right now. They'll say, come here, you're being arrested for attempted robbery. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit unless it affects them. Now, if this was happening to you, do you really think that you wouldn't have the same mental posture? Okay? Every single cop that allows gang stalking to go on, especially the ones that play a direct role in it, I don't know how these people sleep. Because they are human beings that put on a uniform. How do you think they would feel if everything they owned was stolen from them? How do you think they feel if a crime was allowed to continue that staged a rape of you? Okay? How do you think you would feel if a crime was allowed to continue that caused you to go through every single monthly paycheck and the loss of thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, okay, and staying safe from it, surviving it, exposing it, and losing all your camping gear because of what they intentionally allowed to occur? How do you think you'd feel towards them? How do you think you would feel towards them? You got to be honest with yourself. Okay, that's like somebody coming up to you and saying, "Give me everything you got. Give me your bank account. Give me everything you got. We don't give two shits what you think or feel about it. And if you make too much noise concerning it, we're going to set you up for staged arrest." Because that is literally what's going on. And so, any tentacle partner that's used for this for this sick ass crime is equally legally culpable. That means the district attorney's office. That means the police themselves, that means MTS, that means all businesses, universities that have played a role in this, the hospitals, oh, absolutely, and much more. I mean, because the crime of gang stalking could not go on at all if it wasn't being allowed. I wouldn't be in the spot right now where I'm at making this video if it wasn't for the police. It's literally that simple. Okay? And again, I guarantee you it's law enforcement that's colluding with MTS. Okay? I guarantee it. So, folks, if anywhere I'm assaulted, arrested, ticketed, robbed, okay, banned from any business, MTS included, okay, if I'm told that my behavior is inappropriate, if I'm told that I gotta leave and can't come back, if I'm assaulted, okay, understand and know no matter who is used for any type of any part of any staged event anywhere, and they will absolutely use children, teenagers, the disabled, veterans, the elderly, the handicapped. They will use anybody of any age, any type of person. They will use staged events. They will use staged witnesses for any staged event. So I'm telling you right now, it will absolutely be connected to gang stalking. And remember always what I said about remote neuromonitoring and voice to call with voice morphing. Do you honestly believe for 1 second, excuse me, do you honestly believe for 1 second that a tape recorder stops playing and gets locked up by itself while it was in the play mode as it was in the hold mode? Let me show you something about the play mode and the hold mode, and then I gotta let you go because I got stuff to do. I'm booting it back up right now. Watch how long it takes for it to boot up. Okay, now you compare that amount of time to 20 milliseconds. Okay, now I'm going to press the play mode, and you're not going to hear much because this part of this particular audio file has got like the sound of traffic on it. Okay, but you're going to see it press play, and you're going to see the red light come on, and then I'm going to turn it to the side, and then I'm going to press the hold button. Okay, and you'll understand that here in a second. Now watch. Oh, the light didn't come on. All right, but anyways, it's playing because you can see the audio files. Okay, so you can see the audio files playing because the numbers are moving. Right? Now watch what happens when I put it in the hold mode. Okay? Watch. See it says hold? While it's still playing. Now watch what I do when I go to press the stop button. Okay? You can't stop the audio file from playing because it's in the hold mode. Okay? You can't start a record file while it's playing in the hold mode. Because it literally goes back and shows you it's in hold mode. Okay? You can't use any other feature or function because as soon as you try to do it, it will say that it's in the hold mode. Which means that the play mode is being locked in the play mode. You release the hold mode, you can't stop the audio file either. Watch. You go to stop it and it says hold. Right? So you take it out of the hold mode and you can stop it. You can press play again. You can stop it. You can press record and it will go in the record mode. You can toggle into other features and functions. But the second you put it in the hold mode, you can't even press the play mode again. Okay? Because it's in the hold mode. So how can I be playing an audio file, like I am now, while it's in the hold mode, and then the tape recorder suddenly turns itself off by itself, and then it wouldn't allow me to get into any of the functions after I took it out of the hold mode, because a bunch of X's appeared across my screen. It wasn't bumped up against. All right, hold on. It wasn't bumped up against. It had full power batteries on it. Okay. All right. It was in the play mode. It was in the hold mode. It wasn't bumped up against. It had full power batteries on it. Yet as soon as I went and put my bike on that bus, which means I'm now standing directly in front of the bus, okay, it stopped playing and a bunch of X's appeared off it. And it didn't get released from that problem until after I got on the bus and the bus driver said something to me. And then it just suddenly got released. Okay? Do you really believe that's normal? So in closing, I'm going to tell you one last thing and I'm going to let you go. I'm not going to be, two things. I'm not going to be making any more statements in my other tape recorder that's in the record mode when I go along my routes. When I witness what I witness along my routes concerning what's being propped up, I'm not going to be describing it anymore. I'm going to be just paying attention to what my tape recorder is telling me. Because if I'm talking and describing into the other tape recorder what I'm seeing that's being intentionally propped up, then my brain can't hear what my other tape recorder that I'm listening to through my earbuds. Okay, my earbuds are plugged into the tape recorder that's playing the audio file that's showing me what to look out for, what to pay attention to, what not to do, and what these perps will do. Concerned, like, don't get sucked in because these are the types of things that these perps do. If I'm talking, I can't hear what I'm saying through the tape recorder, which is plugged into earbuds in my ears, and then I put noise cancellation headphones on to block out the traffic. But if I'm talking and describing what I'm enduring in real time through what they're propping up along my routes around me, the color coding, the sound harassment, the physical props, okay, then I can't hear what the tape recorder's telling my ear through the earbuds. So I'm not going to be making no more descriptions in my tape recorder unless they say something. So we're going to see what my tape recorder picks up concerning people trying to get me to talk to them. Because in order for me to reply to somebody, I got to stop the tape recorder from playing in order to hear what they're asking me. That means restaurants repeatedly asking me what I told them what I wanted to order. bus drivers asking me questions who will act like they're normal appearing questions. Okay, Amazon employees asking me repeated identical questions. Customers in line behind, front of me, behind me. Okay, asking me questions or trying to suck me into dramas based on blocking and crowding and anything else. Okay, Bonds employees trying to claim I'm being rude to them. Because in order to defend yourself, when a manager comes up and complains to you, supposedly about your behavior, you got to hear what they're saying. And the only way you can hear what they're saying is to stop the tape recorder. Okay? Then that leaves you wide open to what? Would it leave you wide open to what? Voice to skull with voice morphing, maybe? Okay? Every little dedicated, satanic, little useful idiot that they use in this crime, when they approach you to get you to stop listening to that tape recorder, they got to have normal appearing excuses concerning why they're saying what they're saying to you. So they're going to dress it up for that environment. The manager of a grocery store will claim that you have been outside the store too long with the electronic cart. Okay, another manager will walk up to you and say, we got complaints about you saying this to a customer, or we got complaints about you doing this. And the only way you can defend yourself so you don't get banned, so you can continue to grocery shop, is to stop that tape recorder so you can hear what they're saying so you can defend yourself. That's exactly where they want you. And in closing, here's one last thing. If you got an ear implant in you, the sound processor of the ear implant can hear what's on the tape recorder. So they know when there's a break in speech from the audio file itself. It only takes 20 milliseconds for voice to skull to get in. Consider that. Another thing, since it can't send voice to skull with voice morphing to you, at least through the ear implant, it might be able to through the microwave hearing effect. Okay, because there's many different types of voice to skull. Including, it can be done through an ear implant, it can be done through ultrasound, it can be done through the microwave hearing effect, but it's still hard for the brain to distinguish the sound of your voice in parallel, like I discussed earlier. Okay? So what they'll do then, in order so that you, because I've seen reports of this, instead of, if what you're doing is causing a massive hindrance for voice to skull with voice morphing to get in, do you know what reports I've seen? Okay? I've seen reports of victims stating that they're perpetrating looped music into their head. Try to concentrate on what you're listening to on an audio file that's telling you what to look out for while you're hearing music being endlessly looped in your mind. These fucking psychos know what they're doing. You better believe they know what they're doing. Because consider this. Say if you got a victim who's experiencing a lot of voice to skull with voice morphing, and then through research they discover that by listening to the sound of your voice would massively interfere with voice to skull with voice morphing. And then once that victim started doing that, they instantly started experiencing looped music and looped humming. Okay? Because that's not your voice. But it would interfere with your ability to clearly hear, okay, what your tape recorder is saying. Because you got to remember, how long does it take for if you put your phone in your pocket and you have your son or your daughter or your friend or anybody call your phone and you put your phone in vibrate mode, okay? Well, what you got to understand is that a lot of the reports about gang stalking crimes are reporting that, and this is going to sound a little bizarre to you initially, but trust me, you'll see the information's all over the internet. You're going to see the massive reports of how it's reported that remote neural monitoring is working through a supercomputer. Okay? Supercomputer crunches data. It can do information analysis in parallel, which means they can see if the victim's thinking to themselves, subvocal speech monitoring and deciphering. They can see what the victim's listening to because their auditory cortex is being monitored. I know this sounds crazy, folks. Just do the research. Trust me, okay? Just do it. There's lawsuits about this all over the internet, okay? All right. So supercomputers can do data analysis crunching in parallel, which means that it can decipher what you're listening to. At the same time, it can decipher what sounds are in your environment, okay? It can decipher your subvocal speech while, if you're listening to an audio file of music. So it can decipher that you're listening to music, what you're listening to, when you're listening to it, while it can decipher your subvocal speech. So it can do data crunching in parallel, okay? Two parallel data crunching happening simultaneously, okay? So if the victim is hooked up to a supercomputer and the people who are monitoring the supercomputer can say, okay, now would be a time to interject, to stage a verbal altercation with the victim, because we know that that victim has turned off their tape recorder, or we know that we turned it off. Okay, so the victim just enters a business, or the victim just boards a bus, and they know they got that 5-second opportunity to interface with the victim. How long would it take for them to send a vibration to that person's phone that's in their pocket? Phone vibrates, that signals the person when to say something, and then boom, there's your 5-second window. Even 1 second. It only takes voice to skull with voice morphing 20 milliseconds. The person says something to him, and then the voice to skull gets sent to the victim right then and there. The victim acts on that voice to skull with voice morphing influencing, and then that's when they suck the victim in. Okay? This is how fast this sick shit works. Now bear with me 1 second. I kid you not. This is literally how fast voice to skull with voice morphing is reported to work. And it's not just voice to skull with voice morphing. If you got other types of implants in you, they can absolutely be using those. Because you got to remember something. When a victim knows about the implants, but they go to the hospital and the hospital is lying to them about test reports that should show the implants are there so they can then get them out, the hospitals aren't allowing them to prove they're there. Therefore, they remain in the victim, and then the perpetrators continue to interface with them to manipulate the behavior. Okay, this is part of the gang of gang stalking. Absolutely. Because you got to remember, these vile animals, when they're interfacing with the victim, the whole goal for all of this was to set the victim up. So do you think they're going to allow the victim to prove anything that's interfacing with them, that's assisting in setting the victim up? Okay? Bear with me a second. That's my tape recorder playing. One thing you got to understand about supercomputers is that these demonic bitches are communicating with each other in several different ways. They're communicating through walkie-talkies, cell phones, including Bluetooth speakers in their ears. They can also be, I've seen many reports from scientists and doctors over the years that people that they're interfacing with and using can also receive instructions about what to say and what to do through voice to skull itself.
It's a category of mind control. People need to understand. 3 things they're doing against you. Everything they're doing against you can be described and placed and comprised as 3 categories, 3 elements. Censorship, that means restricting you from engaging in external activities which interfere with their neuroprogramming, drowsiness, dizziness, pain, trauma. Okay, they're using that to restrict you at will from engaging in activities, external activities such as listening to pleasing music, singing and dancing, going out and engaging in outdoor activities, etc. Anything, all this interferes with their neuroprogramming. So they use censorship. That's, remote neural attacks, drowsiness and dizziness, pain, trauma, etc. to prevent you from engaging in whatever external activities interfere with their neuroprogramming. Well, the second category of mind control is called memory management. And memory management, in essence, is one thing. It's the art of supercomputer blocking your real memories and injecting with fabricated and falsified memories. Okay, so it's blocking and injection methods. That's it. With remote neural attacks and these motivational impulses called impulse injections, or continuous motivational impulses called impulse sequencing. So this is very important that you understand this. So listen to this video and you get it right, okay? Memory management is one thing. It's blocking your real memories and injecting with fabricated and falsified memories. Anytime you think of something, before you make a decision, you formulate your thoughts and you prepare to act, whatever, okay? It may or may not accompany some type of action or access sequence, but it doesn't matter. The moment you think of it, it becomes a memory. Short-term memory, long-term memory. Short-term memory is called active memory. This technology is designed to modify your active memory. That's how forced speech works, by modification of active memory. Okay? So what they're doing is, it's real simple. This remote neural monitoring supercomputer, this system, is basically designed to continually provoke you perpetually each day into emotional responses. Okay? obtain remotely, from a distance, they were able to obtain remotely a copy of your digital brainwave signature called the digital brainwave imprint. They then take that digital brainwave imprint and they upload it back into their supercomputer, their conscious computer with a will, intellect, and emotion of its own. Don't have time to explain that, look it up. Look at my previous videos. And they tie you to that supercomputer remotely for life. How? A way of a continuous stream of electromagnetic low frequency waves specifically tuned to that brainwave signature, which nobody else on earth has. Like I said, a fingerprint, it's yours alone. Okay? So you remotely tie to this supercomputer, which monitors and manipulates all electromagnetic activity of your brain until the day of your untimely death. This is called brain-to-computer interface. Well, this RNM system is designed to continually provoke you into emotional responses each day until they can generate what are called response statistics. Once they have enough of these responses of, pain and trauma, anger, remorse, regret, positive recognition, dishonesty, fear, paranoia, anxiety, lust, etc. These are called motivational impulses, okay? Once they have enough of these responses from you, they're able to determine the correct electromagnetic emission pattern of your brain, okay? Those are called response statistics. They take all those responses, they correlate it back into response statistics, and they determine a coherent pattern of thought, okay? So that's what's happening. They're trying to, each day, that's why they're constantly getting in your face and talking to you and trying to keep you engaging in conversation and harassing and attacking you. What they're doing is they're trying to they're trying to generate responses from you. They need you to respond. Because each time you respond, that's a synaptic response in your brain. The supercomputer is monitoring all electromagnetic activity of your brain. So they need you to constantly respond in order to build a cognitive model of your brain. That's what's happening. So what's happening basically is that this supercomputer, this remote neural monitoring system, is designed to continually provoke you. How? Remote neural attacks, impulse injections. That's how it works. To generate response statistics, to get you to respond. Until those response statistics appear consistent. At that point, the supercomputer takes all those responses and it integrates it back into RNN data. So it's basically taking these response statistics and it's determining from those coherent patterns of responses how to determine how to link data with information captured about your memory references. That's it. That's memory management. That's the basic reason why they're doing this to you. They're building a cognitive model of your brain. So if you're all casual encounters with people you don't know, you're not being rude, you're just refusing to allow them to manipulate you. Come up with you and try to engage you with the most mundane questions imaginable. What time is it? Do you have directions to so-and-so? Ignore them. Do not respond. Everything is dependent upon their ability to get you to capture your attention and get you to respond. It's very important because these response statistics are basically choice preferences. Remember I talked about choice preference patterns? Well, what they're doing is they're taking these previous choice preferences, your previous memories, your own memories, and they're injecting them back into your subconscious or normal thought activity in order to pitch you in some type of action or access sequence to fool you, okay? To convince you that the responses are your own. They need you to become dependent upon the system's output. The system's output is simply these continuous remote neural attacks and impulse injections, these motivational impulses, okay? That's the system's output. They want you to become dependent upon that, and once you become dependent upon it, in other words, you believe that those impulse injections, those remote neural attacks, those fabricated and falsified memories are your own. And at that point, it's when the system goes into work and begins to fabricate these subconscious responses to convince you that what's happening to you is your own normal memory and thought process. So understand that this is not what they're trying to do. Is they're using your own memories against you. The system is taking those memories and injecting choice preferences is what they're called, okay? These choice preference memories, the previous choices, they're memories, and injecting them back into your subconscious in order to pitch you into some type of action or access sequence, and then they need you to complete or describe. This is called verification. This is very important because without verification, mind control cannot exist. So what they need to do is they need you to describe or somehow reference to complete or describe the choice reference that they remember that they just injected back into your subconscious in order to verify that the technology
So that would be like if he's in a grocery store and he's went and got peanut butter before. Okay, they know he's in a grocery store, so they'll loop back to you, go get peanut butter, go get peanut butter. Just like when you get on a bus and you go to sit down your stuff so you can go back up to the fare box to pay your fare. You turn around and there's a kid standing there and he's acting like he's interfacing with the bus driver, and then when you say excuse me, the bus driver goes off on you. Okay, now hold on a second. This video might stop itself because it's down to it's the battery on it's being drained. So if it stops abruptly, know that that's what happened. Let me show this to you here real fast. This is a tweet that was on Twitter this morning. Okay, so research blocking. They block you so you can't pay your fare. You say, hey, I just want to pay my fare. The bus driver starts going off on you, and your memory references are saying, hey, look, these bus drivers have went off on me in the past. He's trying to draw me into a staged event, so I'm going to call him on it. But you see, that's not, is that really your thought, or are they influencing you to say that based on the memory reference concerning how other bus drivers have tried to draw you into altercations by yelling at you? Okay? See, what you got to understand about these sick demonic whores who are hosting this crime, they know you're being gang stalked. They know that they're looping patterns of behaviors back to you. Okay? Say if you're at a grocery store that you just left a grocery store and you experience 12 different people blocking you. Okay? And you don't say nothing to none of them. Okay? Except for excuse me. Then you leave there and you go to a bus stop. You're being blocked from sitting down. Or you're being forced to sit next to somebody who's wearing color coding. Then you get on the bus and you're blocked from paying your fare. Okay? On a bus service that you've been massively gang stalked on. So you go to pay your fare, but you can't get to the bus fare box because a child are they using, okay, is blocking your ability to get to the fare box. So you say, excuse me, the bus driver goes off on you. And then right then and there is when your auditorial cortex hears in your voice print, nah, screw this. He's trying to draw me into a staged event. And then you say it. Okay, so what they're doing, it's reported what they're after is responses from you based on the situational scenario that they're creating.
We're just continually, you go down to obsessively and compulsively think about peanut butter. They don't care anything about peanut butter. Well, they care about their technology. So they'll use whatever you respond to. Whether it's peanut butter, the Bible, or pornography, they don't care. As long as you respond. So that's what this technology is designed to do. It's basically to get you to describe verbally or to engage in some type of action, an action or access sequence. That's what I mean when I say to complete or describe a reference that they just injected, the memory that they just injected, the choice of reference that they just injected into your mind, into your subconscious. Well, they need to verify that. Okay, so what they're doing is they need you to engage in some type of related action sequence in regard to that previous memory they just injected into your brain. That's called choice reference. They're trying to establish choice reference patterns. They're trying to build a cognitive model of your brain. It's called whole brain emulation. They're breaking your brain down at the synaptic level. You have 100 billion neurons in your brain. Well, to build a cognitive model of a person's brain takes time. It didn't happen overnight. This is about training, research, and development. Okay, so you need to learn to read active memory. You need to be able to learning to read active memory means one thing: testing and validating memory.
Okay, now if you're using a tape recorder to remind you about not to get sucked into staged events that they're trying to draw you in, and the staged events are based on things that they're propping up while they disguise that thing they're propping up to make it appear that it's just a normal appearing thing that's going on. Because they got to cover their ass because they know that video cameras are on the buses, video cameras are in stores. Okay, so they got to make it appear that when they're influencing you to say something or do something, that what you're saying and doing is your own choice, when it's really not. That's why, because think about it. When you look at this tweet alone, okay, over and over and over again in a looping pattern of repetition as torture, psychic driving, body and brain entrapment, mind rape, okay, absolutely. Well, in order for them to get you to respond in the same way, they got to prop up the same repetitive behavior, repetitive blocking everywhere you go. Well, see, because you got to remember, if you're going along your route and you don't really go too many places, then they got to try and interject their shit in these scenarios of the places you go to. Like, when you go to the grocery store, what do? You get your groceries, so therefore you go down grocery aisles. Okay, then you go to the checkout lane, right? So those are average places you go to, and when you're in that environment. So then they interject the stage people in the aisles to block you. Coming in the aisles, going out of aisles, while you're in the aisles, waiting to look at the type of thing that you regularly buy. When you go to the checkout lane, they block you so you can't get in, or they crowd you. Okay? Or they crowd you so you're forced to say something to them. Okay? All right? And so you're forced to see their color coding. They're blocking you. They're crowding you to force you to notice it. You notice it, and then it's reported. The reason why they're doing that, there's multiple reasons why they're doing that. But one of the reasons is because they need your brain to identify that this is being done intentionally. And so after a while, you just say, I'm fed up with this shit. I'm not going to get sucked into your bullshit. I just want to pay my fare, go sit down, and then when the bus leaves, I go home. Okay? Well, then that's where they're sucking you into the drama, because they're not allowing you to pay the fare. But when they're doing something like that, they got to make it appear that your behavior is inappropriate. They want you acting on the influencing, which is, no, hey, he was behind me. I want to pay my fare so I can sit down. The bus driver is acting like you're the problem, so he goes off on you. Then he tries to keep you drawn into a staged altercation with them. Okay, that's why they're using kids a lot, because kids, when you're having an altercation with the bus driver, he's going to claim that you interrupted him interfacing with the kid. Well, the kid is supposed to be innocent, right? He's just a kid, and your behavior is inappropriate because he's just a kid and the bus driver's just doing his job. No, the kid was brought in. Okay? Do you see what I'm saying? These demonic filth. Look. When they stage an event at a grocery store and they're crowding you with an old lady and you say, excuse me, and she'll act like she can't hear you. So then that's done to get you frustrated. It's done to get your anxiety going because they know you're recognizing they're using this old lady. Okay? Absolutely. And then how easy it is for them to say, we don't know what you're talking about. Hey, look, it's an old lady. She's got a hearing problem. Okay? Or she's distracted and looking at something. So you must have some type of issue. Okay? Do you see what I'm saying? Okay? Gang stalking relies on this shit. Because one thing you got to understand about gang stalking is that they're wearing out the brain of the victim throughout the day by constantly intruding upon the victim's free rite of passage. I literally got audio files showing lawyers talk about this. Literally showing lawyers talk about how they're using kids and about how they'll fall back on kids especially when you're proving shit. When you're proving shit concerning them using adults, they'll go back and turn around and use kids. Okay? Because kids, how can they be involved in gang stalking? Elderly person, why would an elderly person be involved in gang stalking? Because what you got to understand here is that, what you got to understand about the brain is that, consider this and I'll let you go. And again, remember, if I get cut off, it's because the battery ran out. Consider this. Do you know, like when you go to a fast food restaurant, you've been out shopping all day and you just want to go to a fast food restaurant, get something to eat, you're hungry, you know that that's the last place you're going to at the end of the day, so you're just going into this place, you're going to get something to eat, you're going to eat it, and then you're going to go home. Well, the limbic system of your brain is already saying, I'm hungry, while you're tired because you've been running around all day. So by the time you get to that fast food restaurant, you just want to order, get what you ordered and paid for, and sit down and eat, or take it with you and eat, right? Well, the brain is already craving food because it's hungry. The limbic system is telling your brain that. The limbic system in your brain is telling your mind that. So then, say you're a gang stalking victim and you've been running all day, carrying heavy shit, running around all over town, putting your bike on and off buses, having to walk to stores, having to walk through the stores, putting up with gang stalking on all your fucking routes, crowding, blocking, color coding, sound harassment, physical gestures, okay, which is done to remind you're being gang stalked, okay, verbal statements, right? So their goal is to wear out the brain, and while your body's being worn out, okay, right? So then when you get to that last fucking place and you get into a restaurant, and then you order it after the employees put you through hell just to order it, then you get it and your order is fucked up. And this can be identically done at 10 different fast food restaurants. I kid you not. I literally kid you not. I mean, you research Burger King, Wendy's, McDonald's, Carl's Jr., Domino's to gang stalking. Okay? They stalk you from business to business to business, and then they use these businesses to fuck up your shit. So when you recognize the pattern, which is what they're after, okay, what do you see here in this tweet? Okay? Pattern of repetition. Repetition of the same exact behaviors produce a pattern. And they're just looping the same patterns over and over again everywhere you fucking go. So by the time you get that order and you sit down and you realize it's fucked up, okay, well then you're more likely to act on the influencing they're doing to you in real time through voice to skull and voice morphing to get you to act out. Okay, so then they can claim your behavior is inappropriate, and so that they can remotely not monitor the brain when the brain is angry, because they're driving the brain into that anger, which is what psychic driving is. Okay, psychic driving is where they're driving your psychology, and part of psychology is the way that you think, but it's not really your thoughts. It's voice to skull with voice morphing. I'm sick of this shit. I ain't taking it no more, so I'm gonna finally say something. Boom. And then that's the voice that's called voice morphing. You think it's your own thought, you act on it. Then they got you. Gang stalking is about wearing you out mentally and physically, and then when they see that you're mostly tired, when you're at that point at the end of the day, because it can happen at the middle and the beginning of the day, but usually at the end of the day, that last place you go to, a fast food restaurant, a bus stop, a bus route, okay, you're more prone to act out on the influencing because you're tired mentally, you're tired physically, you're exhausted, and you've been gang stalked every single fucking place you've been. Okay? Okay? It's just like somebody constantly pinching you 1,000 times a day until you just finally say something. Boom. That's where they interject the voice to skull with voice morphing. And there's thousands and thousands of posts about this all over the fucking internet. Okay? And these sick bitch demonic cops that'll fucking allow all of it, okay, who are, by the way, massively implicated in hosting the community-based gang stalking. I mean, because remember, it's not some dumbass street punk going in and colluding with grocery store managers, okay? Grocery store employees, Carl's Jr. managers and employees, MTS bus stops and bus routes, and bus drivers, okay? The gang of gang stalking, okay? So, folks, you know, they're using normal human psychology while they're using the psychological operations on you. So what does Brian 2 says? Brian 2 says learn how to read active memory. Learning how to read active memory would be, hey, you know, I'm not going to react to this, right? Well, when I make the other videos, you're going to see doctors and scientists talk about how victims who are implanted, those implants can be used for what? Thought interruption. Literally, I know that sounds crazy. Trust me, I know how this shit sounds. But there's literally scientists from Oxford showing doctors giving presentations about this tech. Showing them in the videos that as they're talking about this crime. Okay, they're called neurodisruptors. Okay? Oh, absolutely. So stay tuned to this account because I'm going to be making some videos here in the upcoming future. Stay tuned to this account. And we're going to see if they stage anything along my routes tomorrow. MTS buses, MTS bus routes, walking routes, Whole Foods, CVS, my post office, Bond's grocery store, and anywhere else I might go. I got to let you go, folks, because I'm not feeling too well after all this demonic stuff. So, if they're using memory references, you get on a bus route and service that you've been gang stalked on for over a decade. Bus drivers, bus passengers, people at bus stops. Well, then they already know your brain's going to recognize when they're fucking doing something because what you're recognizing is part of the patterns of behaviors they've done in the past. And so when that area of the brain gets excited, when your brain recognizes that they're currently doing something, it's reported that that's when remote neural monitoring is latching onto you, and remote neural monitoring and voice to skull are being reported to be used simultaneously. Remotely neurally monitoring your brain activity, literally neurally hacking you in real time through remote neural monitoring, while simultaneously using voice to skull to influences your thoughts, to influence your actions, to get you to say or do something so they can use it against you. This is literally what's occurring in gang stalking crimes. And before I let you go, I'm going to literally prove to you that I'm implanted. These are the types of islands implants that are in my eyes. Okay? So bring up that YouTube video, absolutely, that you see in that link there. Bring it up, watch it, go into that YouTube playlist. It's part of a playlist called Technocrime Fighters Forum. That's episode 58. Watch it. It discusses these islands implants. Those are electromagnetic weapon boil bumps. Okay, that pushed them out and lit them up, okay? Watch this, and then immediately go and listen to episodes 70 and 71, which are two of the many videos that talk about the neurodisruptors, okay? Look, you have a choice. You have a choice to stay ignorant, or you have a choice to listen to truth, okay? Ultrasound ain't on MTS buses for no fucking reason. My ultrasound app has picked it up on MTS buses several times, and in coffee shops, grocery stores, okay, post offices, it's picking it up right now. Okay, now just watch. Why would ultrasound be on an MTS bus? Hold on a second. Why would ultrasound be on an MTS bus? See the readouts? Okay. Right now it's low compared to what it usually is. Absolutely. Infrasound too. Ultrasound is a carrier wave for voice to skull. And for remote monitoring, actually, even. Absolutely. Research ultrasound and infrasound to the Havana syndrome. Okay? Absolutely. It's been picked up in hospitals. Okay? I gotta let you go, folks, or I'll just keep talking, and I gotta get up and do a few things. It's already 7:30, so I gotta get up and let you go. Everybody have a good day. So we're gonna see if this tape recorder stops at any time, because it's gonna be played from now on. I will not be verbally describing what I'm enduring along my routes. Okay? But you should know the color coding, the physical gestures, the repeating of words and phrases, and the sound harassment is being propped up every single fucking place I go and everywhere I'm at. Bus stops, walking routes, bus routes, okay, businesses inside and outside of them, walking routes back and forth to them, everywhere I fucking go, they're propping up this sick shit. And I'm tired of it. But I'm not going to keep describing it in this tape recorder that's in the record mode when I'm along my routes, because if I do that, it's drowning out my ability to listen to my Memory Anchor audio files. The Memory Anchor audio files are being used to remind me about what not to do, what to do, and so on. Thank you for listening. Everybody have a good day, and stay tuned to this account.